So yeah, so if you want to just tell us who you're from and what the game's about.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So yeah, I'm from CCP. My name is Halvor Fannar. I'm actually the CTO of the company. And what we've been announcing here at E3 is first and foremost Dust, which is a PS3 exclusive. And it is a ground-based shooter where you engage in more than just firing your gun. You have a lot of other weapons in your arsenal. You have tanks and such that you can deploy on the field. It's set in the universe of Eve, which is a thriving MMO game that's actually been operational for over 8 years now. We're up to 400,000 players in that universe. And essentially what we're doing with Dust is taking and adding a new layer to the universe of Eve. So Eve has mostly been about flying your spaceship and engaging in these massive fleet fights over territory, which is essentially solar systems. And now we're introducing actual warfare on the planets in those solar systems. And that warfare is taking place on the PlayStation 3.
Great. Is it squad-based, team-based, single-player?
Yes. So Eve as a game has always been group-based in the sense that players will form corporations, and then those corporations will form alliances. The corporations map to guilds, as you see in most other MMOs, but we have a structure above that, which is alliances. And the reason why we have that is because Eve is all played on one supercomputer. So the 400,000 players we have, they all play on the same server cluster. So they're all in the same world, which means that we have massive warfare. So we're seeing the same thing is going to happen for Dust, where you will have corporations. The interesting thing is that we do allow you to be, we allow the corporations to be mixed. You don't have to have a Dust-only corporation. You can have a corporation that has both Eve players and Dust players. So essentially you have pod pilots and mercenaries together in one group. So we do expect though that there will be corporations that only have Dust players, and then they will form alliances together. Because there are shared and vested interests in what's happening on the planets. The pod pilots actually want to build infrastructure on the planets to harvest resources and generate money for themselves. So they will form alliances with Dust corporations, but they will also hire Dust corporations purely as mercenaries and actually put up contracts. So there will be multiple corporations within Dust that will be bidding for the same contract.
Will there be PC players playing Eve, interacting with PS4 players?
What's pretty unique about this proposition is that for the first time we will be connecting a PC game with a PlayStation game. So the PC players will be interacting with the Dust players. We will have chat, both voice and text chat, and actions in both games will affect the other game. And it's all in real time because it's all running on the same backend.
How would it interact with someone that is already a PC player and then also has a PS3? How would that work?
Yeah. So it's pretty important to explain that a character that you've already built in Eve is not a character that you will use in Dust, because the characters in Eve are essentially pilots, pod pilots, capsuleers, while your character in Dust is a mercenary, and so they're very different characters. And so what you will do is create a new character, which is your Dust mercenary, and he will actually have to have a different name because there's a shared namespace. So the names are unique across the games, so that you can easily have these features as chat and corporations without things getting really confusing. But there's the same principles in place. Character advancements, there's skill training, there's fitting as well, which means that this shooter is interesting from the perspective that there's a little bit more strategy that we're adding to the regular shooter gameplay. Because before you go into battle, you can definitely decide on how your guy is configured, but also you have trained your Dust mercenary in certain things, that he's going to be more skilled than others.
And you said there will be vehicles?
Yes. So there's a number of different vehicles. All of them are land-based. You can call in assistance from other vehicles as well. There's a very interesting feature where we actually allow real-time fighting between the two games. So from Eve, you can order an orbital strike, and from Dust, you will be able to fire an artillery gun into space to shoot back. However, these features at launch will be somewhat limited because we need to go into this with a careful eye, because we don't want to upset the established world that is Eve. So it's almost like turning the faucet slowly on, you know, because we don't want to ruin the 8-year power structures that we already have in EVE. We want the players from the PlayStation 3 to enter that vibrant world and experience it, and then starting to affect it and becoming a real member of that world.
If I remember right from some of the stuff I read, corporations within EVE will be basically hiring the PC, PS3 Dust players to carry out their orders.
Yes, so a lot of it will be like that, but one of the things that probably hasn't been disclosed is that the Dust mercenaries can also be running their own show, in the sense that they can also install infrastructure on the planets, and they can be actually enterprising individuals as well. So they can be running their own operations on the planets that they now have acquired, and can be gaining resources and money from that. But you're very right, though, that in a lot of the cases, the pod pilots will be putting up contracts for the mercenaries to bid on.
Now, is it pretty much solely the players, or are there a lot of NPCs?
There's no NPCs. It's all the players. We do have some AI systems, though, to take care of situations where there aren't maybe enough contracts being offered and things like that. But all the characters controlled in the game are controlled by humans. CCP as a company believes very strongly in the human being the most interesting content. So we try to shy away from creating too much canned content or AI content, because we found that the players make for the most interesting content, and giving them tools to create some of that content makes for a very emergent and interesting universe.
Can you tell us a little bit about the art assets you got in here?
Yeah, absolutely, I can. So basically what you're seeing here are some of the, like this is a command unit, so to speak, that is used to signify the control that you have of a certain region. And in some of the battles, your goal will be to actually take this unit out, find a way to actually take it down. This is a deployment vehicle that you're seeing here that's actually deploying troops onto the battlefield. And then you're seeing some of our ground-based vehicles that can be controlled by players. So you'll jump into these and drive around.
Scale.
Yes, and that's a very good observation, which is that EVE is very much renowned for its wide scale. We go from the minuscule, which is our character creator, where you can be playing around with makeup, almost, you know, if you want to, on a female character, and then all the way into a galaxy and everything in between. So that's very much the idea here also with Dust. It's a pretty broad range of activities that you can engage in. And we should also probably explain that we don't prescribe what those activities are, in the sense that we don't have well-defined like character classes or things like that. We rather allow the player to explore the different skill trees and fit their character in different ways. And the same goes for the vehicles. You can actually fit those as well, which is very much in line with how the spaceships work in EVE. Now, some of this might sound a little daunting and complicated, especially for people that are more used to the typical first-person shooters. So our goal is definitely to ease people into this. And for those that have already played EVE, I want to stress that this is a much more approachable player experience. We do not expose all the same complexities that we have in EVE. With this game, we're trying to cater to a different audience that definitely has interest in the universe of EVE, but hasn't kind of found a home in the gameplay that we're offering today in terms of piloting your spaceship.
Is there any single player or offline?
No, there's not. It's all online.
Is it a subscription model?
It's not a subscription model. It is actually it's a digital download game. So it's going to be on the day of release available for digital download through the PSN. There's a cover charge for buying the game, but that cover charge actually gets converted into in-game credits that you can use to buy these things. So you know, the big vehicles are actually purchased, and by using in-game credits, by using those in-game credits, you can purchase these things. Let's take that again, okay?
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, the game is, we're using a digital distribution for the game. So on the PlayStation Store, you will be simply able to download it. There is a cover charge to download the game, but that money actually gets converted also into in-game currency that you can use to buy weapons and vehicles. Now, however, once you spent all of that money, you can still continue playing the game. But there will be a number of things that you can buy that will be of interest to players. and those you will buy using microtransactions. So there's no subscription model for this game. And it's essentially, you could say that it's free to play based on your play style.
And there's a way to gain money in the game?
Yes, absolutely. There's two types of currencies. There's one type of currency that flows between Eve and Dust. Like I talked about before, the Eve players will be putting up contracts for you to bid on to do their fighting on a planet. Once you succeed in honoring that contract, you will gain that in-game currency, and you can use that to buy vehicles and weapons.
So, for someone that's not familiar with Dust, we've got a map over here, or with Eve Online.
Yeah.
What percentage of the Eve world is this map showing? Is this the Dust area?
Oh, okay. No, this is just a portion of the Eve universe. It is really large, but it should be emphasized that you know, Eve has over 5,000 planets. Actually, even more than that, and it's 5,000 solar systems actually, and then a lot of planets. And in almost every solar system, there's a temperate planet that is ideal for building infrastructure and harvesting minerals. We also have other planets that are more hostile, like lava planets and things like that, which you can also harvest to a certain degree. But the fighting is mostly going to be taking place on the temperate planets, because some of the other planets, simply the environment is too hostile for fighting. However, the Dust mercenaries are equipped with a suit to deal with a hostile environment. But so basically, there will be contested resources all over the map. We do expect the most interesting things to be evolving, though, in 0-0 space. And 0-0 space is essentially low security space, where there are essentially no holds barred to what you can do. So there will also be, just like with Eve, there's a way to play Eve at different risk levels. The rewards are of course much higher in the outer regions, where there aren't any rules really. And we're going to see the same with Dust. There are going to be regions that are going to be a little bit more controlled, and other ones that there are no holds barred to what you can do.
Can you speak to the name, where the name came from?
Oh, Dust 514?
Yeah.
Well, so we actually leave it as an exercise for our players to figure out what the 514 means, but it does have a deep meaning, and it's been really exciting to watch how people are cracking that code, what it does mean. But the Dust is definitely also kind of an indicator of both the environment that these players are in. If you see our trailers, there's a fair amount of dust in those trailers, but it's also ashes to ashes and dust to dust. The mercenaries are essentially clones. So they will die, but then they just get recloned. It's a very kind of grim view of the future. So for them to get shot down in battle is not the end of the day. They just continue on, and so it's kind of it's conflict as a way of life for them. Cool. They're not afraid to die.
You may know VideoGameGeek. We also have a website called VideoGameGeek, and I've played the Eve Online board game.
Yeah.
Did you guys play test that a lot personally? And do you know anything about the development of the board game?
Oh, the board game?
Yeah.
No, not really. I mean, it was developed by one of our studios,
right,
and so I can't really speak to it. I actually haven't found time to play it myself. But you know, I'm glad to hear that you're actually playing it. Yeah, it's a pretty heavy box.
Yeah, I bought a copy. I've played it a few times, and when you were talking about the 0-0 space, they definitely incorporated that in the board game. There's the safe areas in the middle.
Yeah.
As you get out in the outlands.
Yes, that's what happens.
The territories are worth more points, but they're more dangerous.
Is there a predicted release date or ETA?
Yes. I mean, so summer 2012. We're going to start opening with private trials at the end of this year. And so we're going to be running that for about 6 months, private trials, to tweak the game and understand, because it's, as I've been trying to explain, there's a lot of complicated things at play here, especially how we integrate it with Eve. So we have to understand how to make that work for both parties. Right. The Dust players can't feel like they're marginalized, and the Eve players that have been running their universe for such a long time can't feel either that we're just injecting here a disruptive force into the universe. That being said, though, we really like to mix things up and kind of get people excited about new things, and it's been really inspiring to see how the Dust announcement has energized the Eve community into understanding that this thing is coming and they have to find ways to deal with it. So they're already setting up websites to recruit Dust players.
That's cool.
So they're already planning for this being a part of what they're going to be, running as of their global war machine, because that's essentially what it is. Some of the alliances have over 1,000 players.
Awesome. Great.
All right.
Thank you so much for your
You're
time.
welcome.